All right, strap in, everyone. We're diving deep into Children of Dune today.
Ooh, exciting.
We're 12 years past Dune Messiah, picking up with the next generation of Atreides on Arrakis.
Lots changed on Arrakis, that's for sure.
And we've got excerpts from the book to guide us.
Sounds like fun. I'm ready.
So, think about this. What would it be like to inherit not just an empire, but all the memories of your ancestors?
Wow. That's a heavy legacy, and that's exactly what Leto II and Ghanima are dealing with.
Pre-born, with the full weight of those ancestral memories.
Talk about pressure.
Meanwhile, Alia, as regent, is facing unrest. This charismatic preacher is stirring things up among the freemen.
Yeah, he's a real wild card, this preacher, and Alia's terrified of him.
But the twins, they're not so easily swayed.
It's like they see through the fear, Almost like they've got a different perspective.
Well, they do, right, with all those past lives swirling in their minds.
Exactly. They're not just kids, they're carrying the wisdom and baggage of countless generations.
But for Alia, this fear of the preacher, it seems tied to this idea of abomination.
Yeah, the fear of being possessed by an ancestor. A real danger for anyone who's been through the spice trance.
And speaking of familiar faces, Lady Jessica is back on Arrakis.
Ah, Lady Jessica. But her return is more complex than a simple homecoming.
She's got this sense of unease, like a darkness hanging over the planet.
As a Bene Gesserit, she's attuned to those subtle shifts in power. Plus, she's carrying the weight of her own past actions, and she's determined to protect the Atreides legacy.
Especially her grandchildren.
Exactly. She's walking into this web of intrigue, and she's not sure who to trust. Then there's this mystery surrounding Jacurutu.
Oh yeah, this almost mythical place. And it seems to be weighing heavily on Jessica.
And on Leto II, who keeps dreaming about it.
These intense dreams where he's encased in this sentient armor, walking a golden path.
He sees it as a prophecy, a vision of a future where humanity can avoid destruction.
But it's not a path without sacrifice, is it?
No, not at all. And Ghanima sees that. She sees the potential for loss, for her own identity being consumed by those ancestral memories.
It's like they represent two sides of the same coin, Leto and Ghanima.
One embracing the past, the other fearing it, and both are struggling to find their own way.
Then we have this new character entering the stage, Farad'n.
Ah, the Carino heir. Can't forget about the Carinos.
And Lady Jessica sees an opportunity in him.
Always thinking a few steps ahead, that one.
She's grooming him, subtly manipulating events to bring him closer to Ghanima.
Classic Bene Gesserit tactics. It makes you wonder if she's acting for the greater good or just securing power for her family.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
For sure. And then things get really interesting when Jessica orchestrates this daring escape from Siege Tabor.
With Duncan, Idaho, no less.
But their escape, it's not as straightforward as it seems. There's a twist.
Idaho drops a bombshell, revealing that he's no longer loyal to House Atreides.
Whoa. Talk about a betrayal.
It highlights just how much things have shifted on Arrakis. The Freemen are questioning the Atreides rule, and even their most loyal soldier has turned away.
It's a wake-up call for Jessica, and it sets the stage for even more intrigue and conflict to come.
And in the midst of all this, Leto is captured and taken to Jacurutu.
To face that final test from his dreams.
But it's not a physical test he faces, it's something far more insidious.
He's imprisoned in a place designed to break him, to force him to confront the full force of his prescience.
And he encounters this mysterious young woman named Sabiha.
Her presence raises so many questions. Is she a friend, a foe, or something else entirely?
Meanwhile, Gurney Halleck is out there desperately searching for Leto.
He receives these cryptic warnings about a final test Leto must face. You can feel the tension building.
We're left wondering what this test is, what it means for Leto, and whether he'll be able to overcome it.
Children of Dune is full of these twists and turns, these moments that keep you guessing and leave you wanting more.
And that's just the beginning. Last we left off, Leto was trapped in Jacurutu, facing this mysterious final test.
And we finally get to see what that test really is.
And it's not what you'd think.
Not some physical challenge or battle, no.
More of a battle of ideas, right?
Yeah, a clash between Leto's vision for the future.
Versus the beliefs of the cast-out, the people who run Jacurutu.
Exactly. And remember Sabiha?
Oh yeah, the young woman from last time.
She's a key part of this. She really embodies the cast-out's whole way of thinking, which, well, they're terrified of prescience. They see it as a burden.
A curse, even.
Yeah, something that forces you to face these unbearable truths about the universe.
So they cling to these fixed beliefs.
Absolutes. Anything to shield themselves from having to make difficult choices.
Interesting. So they're the opposite of Leto in a way,
Completely. Leto's all about embracing prescience.
taking on the burden of making tough choices.
For the greater good as he sees it, that's where the golden path comes in.
Right. It's his solution to lead humanity through the chaos.
But it's a difficult path, full of sacrifice. And that's what the cast out just can't accept.
So Leto outsmarts them, basically. Not with strength, but with his mind.
Exactly. They try to trap him in a spice trance, but he's already saturated with spice, remember?
With all those ancestral memories, yeah.
Every moment for him is like a vision of multiple futures.
So he uses their weapon against them.
Transcends their control, escapes Jacurutu, and that leads us to
That big reunion with Ghanima.
where he finally unveils his golden path to her and Farad'n.
And it's a detailed plan, not just some vague idea.
Oh, absolutely. It's breathtaking in scope. Leto's not just talking about political power.
He wants to shape the future of humanity itself.
Steer it away from destruction. He's seen a terrible future, and the golden path is his attempt to stop it.
But this path, it's not going to be easy.
No, not at all. There's a huge price to pay, like changing Freeman culture completely.
No more sandworms, no more spice production. I can't imagine Stilgar being too happy about that.
Oh, Stilgar is definitely not on board, and you can understand why.
It's their whole way of life.
The sandworms are sacred to them. For Leto to just wipe them out, it's a betrayal of everything they believe in.
And what about Farad'n? What's his role in all of this?
Leto's asking a lot of him, too. He wants him to give up his Sardaukar
His elite fighters,
and take on this title, Hark al-Ada,
which means
the breaking of the habit. It's a powerful symbol.
of moving away from the old ways.
The Carino way of doing things. Leto's basically dismantling the old empire,
and building a new one in its place.
with Farad'n as a key figure in this transition. But there's more to the golden path than just politics.
Right, Leo also talks about this Krelizek thing.
A war at the end of the universe. He believes this golden path is the only way for humanity to survive it.
So the stakes are pretty high.
Oh, incredibly high. It's not just about peace in the present, it's about the long-term survival of humankind.
Makes you wonder if the sacrifices are really worth it.
That's the question, isn't it? But while Leto's focusing on this grand vision, Alia is dealing with her own struggles.
That Baron Harkonnen persona is getting stronger.
Twisting her thoughts, her actions. It's a stark warning about the dangers of prescience.
Like a cautionary tale for Leto.
Showing what could happen if he loses control. And then there's the mystery surrounding the preacher.
Is he really Paul Atreides back from the dead?
Or is it something else? His influence over the Fremen is undeniable, but there's a darkness to him too.
It's hard to say for sure who he is or what his motives are, but he's definitely a key player in all of this.
And just when we think we're starting to understand what's going on, bam.
Ghanima gets kidnapped.
And that throws everything into chaos.
Right.
His plans are upended.
The balance of power shifts again.
It's a huge cliffhanger, leaving us to wonder who's behind it and what it means for the future.
Okay, so that kidnapping, we got to talk about that. Who took Ghanima?
Well, it turns out the mastermind behind it all is Duncan Idaho.
No way, Idaho. But he swore off House Atreides, remember? Why kidnap Ghanima?
His motivations have changed, you see.
How so?
He's not just a soldier anymore. He's become, well, almost a disciple of the preacher.
Really? So he's bought into this idea of Fremen independence.
Completely. And he sees Leto's golden path as a threat to that, like a new form of tyranny.
So he's trying to save Ghanima from her own brother.
Yeah, that's his logic. He thinks Leto's going down a dangerous path.
A path that could destroy them all, in his view.
Exactly.
It's extreme, though, wouldn't you say? Kidnapping to save someone.
Oh, absolutely. But you have to remember, Idaho's fierce loyalty, and he really does care for Ghanima.
So what's Jessica going to do? Her protege turned kidnapper.
It puts her in an impossible position. She may have to confront him, even kill him.
Whoa. Talk about consequences.
It really highlights the unintended consequences of her actions, you know? Shaping this warrior who's now turned against her.
And they have that tense confrontation, remember?
Oh, yeah. Where Idaho basically tells Jessica he's done with House Atreides, that he's with the preacher now.
Even hints that he knows about her plans for the twins.
It shows just how far he's gone. He's fully embraced his Fremen identity, even their customs and language.
It's a complete transformation. But is he really free, or is he being manipulated by the preacher?
That's the question, isn't it? Tough to say for sure. But while all this is happening, Leto's not slowing down.
No, he's forging ahead with his golden path.
Making alliances, solidifying his power, like with Farad'n and the Sardaukar.
And laying out his vision for the Fremen. He's not afraid to make tough decisions.
He's willing to break with tradition, even alienate his closest allies, like Stilgar.
And he's going through a physical transformation too, right? Merging with the sandworms
It's a pretty wild concept, a fusion of man and beast.
to achieve godlike power.
But at what cost? That's the worry. Does he lose his humanity in the process?
Big questions. So, in the end, does Leto succeed?
He does. He achieves his vision. But as we said, the cost is high. The old ways are gone. The sandworms are eradicated. The Fremen have to adapt to a completely new reality.
Bittersweet victory, you could say. So what does all this mean for us, the listeners? What can we take away from this deep dive?
Well, I think it shows us that power, even when used for good, always comes with a price.
Every choice has consequences.
Even the greatest leaders have to grapple with ethical dilemmas.
Makes you think about free will versus destiny, too. Are we in control of our own lives, or are we bound by forces we can't see?
Children of Dune doesn't give us easy answers, but it does make us ask those questions.
And that's what makes it so powerful. We've only touched on some of the themes, though. There's so much more to explore in the book itself.
I encourage everyone to read Children of Dune and come to their own conclusions about Leto's golden path and the sacrifices made along the way.
It's a journey worth taking. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Children of Dune. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the worlds that fascinate you.